What's good, fam? It's Mistah Kelly with Good to the Hood, talking about anything and everything that impacts the culture. And today I'm here with Dr. Ross. And actually, before I go there, what exactly is your specific field of practice? Right? I've known him since I met him in college, but I've never known.
Yeah, so my PhD is in educational leadership and innovation.
Okay.
And so my primary focus is leadership development, community empowerment, and education, as you know.
Okay. So Dr. Ross, okay. Well, actually, I saw on a local commercial here recently, which kind of sparks that you'd be the perfect person for this topic. And so today in the Black community, I want to talk about, or that impacts the Black community, is do celebrities, and those of us that have that huge platform, what responsibility, if any, do you think they have to the community?
Right.
And I bring that up only because we seem to be scrutinized, and we seem to scrutinize ourselves more so than other people groups. Like, in the most recent history, obviously, Kaepernick used his platform to address issues in the community. Charles Barkley years ago was like, I'm not a role model, I'm a basketball player. You know what I mean? So, and even I have my own personal opinions on some of the stuff. Like, I guess I'll jump it off this way, is Tyler Perry. So I'm not a huge Tyler Perry fan. I respect what he's done and his accomplishments, and I know a little bit about his story. But I just feel like always putting brothers in dresses and that whole thing. I just kind of feel like, I don't know. I just feel, you know what I mean? Like, in that regard, I feel like the responsibility is for the collective. Like, because as you know, whether it's right or wrong, if one of us does something irresponsible, I just feel like it's on the backs of all of us.
Right. Well, that's one of the, I think, unfortunate outcomes of privilege and white supremacy in our country, right? Because we're worried about what we think. I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine who was applying for a job with a Fortune 50 company, and so he's going through this interview. He's rocking it. He called me like, "Hey, the first round went good, second round went good, third round went good, fourth round." He's like, "Yo, there were 3 other black dudes on my interview panel," and I was like, "Okay." He was like, "They're not gonna hire me. They already got their quota." Like, you know what I mean? Like, we begin to, I think, start thinking about things in a way based on how society kind of sets things up. And it's unfortunate. It's something that we've got to, I think, get over. I think as it relates to when we're looking at the role model piece and celebrities, I am, and it's probably an unpopular opinion, but I don't think celebrities or anybody for that matter has a responsibility to do anything except for take care of their family and be productive pro-social citizens. I do believe that they should follow their heart and their passions. Right, because that's what leads the work, right? And so, I think Dave Chappelle said it best in his recent
the
846, right? Like, because right now I don't care what Jay-Z thinks about Elijah McClain right now. What I do care about is what the community thinks about it. I care about what his family thinks about it. I care about what the people who are most affected by it on the ground feel about it. Now, sure, as a black man, do I hope that he cares, and this is a topic that, he or any other celebrity would get behind? Yes, but not because they're celebrities. Because they're brothers who either have children or can be hurt at the hand of a police officer, right?
But wouldn't you say, that old adage of, to whom much is given, much is required, that it would be, so maybe not a requirement, I guess, but if we've come from kind of the same place, so since we brought up Jay-Z, Jay-Z came from Marcy Projects and that whole environment there,
right?
And he's made it out, and him knowing the struggles and the pains and so on and so forth, and what those individuals in his community, don't you think he should at least reach back and try to help some out that are willing and wanting to come out, or maybe overlooked because of where they come from, and they may be just as talented or have some type of talent, and he used his platform because he has a greater voice. Me and you, and more so me because you have a larger voice than myself, but at least look, you were on TV, brother. I got to produce myself to get on TV, right? But that notwithstanding, like, our voice saying, hey, with Elijah McClain and police brutality or whatever, is only going to go so far. Whereas somebody like a Jay-Z comes on and says, hey, the whole deal with police brutality and this, and this, his voice is going to reach, the globe, really, essentially.
Yeah.
Because his platform is just so huge. And I mean,
and I think there's
I find that he turns a blind eye. Isn't that like...
So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying people should turn a blind eye. What I'm saying is they should do the work because of who they are, not because who's watching or not because it's a rule that says they have to do it. And it's important because, sure, you've got a large platform to call attention to things. That's a double-edged sword, right?
Sure.
So if he's, hey, I'm out here calling attention to certain things, but he's not authentic and doesn't really mean that, and then does something counter, that could be more detrimental to your cause than anything.
Sure, okay.
I would rather have, like, for example, we got to dismantle those systems so those ripples are common in our community, because they should be.
I think another reason why, in thinking about this, why the celebrity worship culture, and that's in all communities, but I think why, in the black community, I think we're missing the type of leadership that maybe we've come accustomed to or desire in the past. Like again, with the civil rights movement era, you had specific individuals that were really championing, whether it was Muhammad Ali, whether it was Martin Luther King, whether it was Malcolm, and nowadays, and even in kind of recent history, for a while there would be like maybe Reverend Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, in the 70s, 80s type era, and I would even go so far as to say maybe that's why so many people had put so many eggs into Obama's basket.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it was like, okay, well, who is going to be the leader?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And
I'm not saying that's right. I just think that's kind of been the...
Yeah, no, I get it. Like, yeah, you get behind your champion, right?
Yeah.
And you let them lead you, right? It's like Moses, right?
Right.
But the problem with that is when we do that, I think we cut... we forget our own power, right? Like, we all have the ability to do some of these things, right? Now, some people are going to have different platforms and different vantage points, and I hope that they use them for the benefit of others. I hope that they do, but I don't feel like it's their responsibility to do so, right?
Okay.
Like, I think they should do so because they get it, because they believe.
So maybe the operative word is responsibility is the operative word that's...
I just don't think it's a mandate. Yeah, I don't think it's a mandate. I don't think that, hey, we weren't out there shooting the 100 jump shots with Michael Jordan, right? So, hey, if he just wants to focus on playing basketball, if that's his dream as an individual, he has that right. And he's going to do what he's going to do. And LeBron, same thing. Right? LeBron was going to be a community-oriented person, whether he was in basketball or not, because that's who he is. Right? And so that's the piece that I think we have to capitalize on, is celebrating who people are and supporting that rather than trying to figure out who's not doing what. I just don't think we have time to do that anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so the game has to change a little bit. Our mode of operation has to change a little bit. Honestly, I don't know how we'd even get to that point. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I don't even see how that's even...
I think we're moving in that direction now, right? I think when we have movements that are about... let's go to sports real quick, right? Okay. Think about, like, a really great team. When you think about one of the best teams, think about the Nuggets a few years ago, right? Okay. They were super dope, right? They had 12 role players. Right. They didn't have any celebrities. They didn't have any superstars or franchise players. You know what I mean? They had some people who got some attention because they may have had a 40-night game, but how many people on that team on any given night could do that? All of them. Okay. Right? And so in our community, I feel like, it's the collective. When we have this,
the bigger power is the collective. But I think there's always going to be an individual that rises.
And that's okay.
There's always,
and that's
somebody's going to rise to be the one that
and that's cool.
Gives the direction.
There's going to be somebody giving direction, but the person who gives the direction, it's there because they've worked for it. It's their natural ability. It's not because we put them on a pedestal and expect them to do something. It's that they just, that's their lane. And I think we all have lanes.
Yeah.
And so some people have lanes where they're going to be up front. Some people have lanes where they're going to be in the back. Some people have lanes where they're going to disrupt. Some people have their lanes where they're going to connect, right? And I think it's the intersection of all those things that pushes us forward. And I see our youth doing that, right? Like they're not out there posturing. They don't care who's in charge. Like they care that the issue is being heard, right? And I think when we start worrying about posturing and when we're flexing power rather than flexing purpose is when we get in trouble and we stop movements. You know what I mean? Like it's
Flexing
about being purpose driven, man. Yeah.
I like that. You can put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Flex power. Wait. Not flexing power, but flexing purpose.
Right. Flex purpose, not power.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. I say it all the time.
Okay. Okay. Well, okay. Yeah. I mean, you gave me some things to think about from a different perspective, for sure. Hopefully, Dr. Ross has changed your mind on some things and opened up. Put something in the comments there. Let us know some other topics. I'm sure at some point in time we'll have to revisit this because this is. We're not going to solve it all in a 20-minute conversation.
Absolutely. Hey, but that's the thing, though. But we're having a 20-minute conversation.
Absolutely.
Just think if everybody's having a 20-minute conversation about being progressive or moving us forward, right? Or just paying attention to it.
Yeah.
That's going to go a long way because conversation will lead to action, will lead to more questions, right? And then when we can do this in a way where the reality is I don't think I'm right or wrong. This is just what I think. I don't.
No, that was big. That's big. Yeah.
And so when we can do that together and say, well, I'll take something out of your hat and put it in my.
I will say that I have talked about that before too, and that kind of goes when we opened up is, one of us does something, and then the whole community is based on that, and then what happens is it gets very selective. So this individual does something positive, but that's like, that guy did something, Spike Lee did something good or whatever, and then Bobby from wherever did something. It's like, oh man, you guys were always, so why is when Bobby's action is negative that impacts everybody, but then Spike Lee or Tyler Perry or Oprah does something, it's like, that's just because they're a good person. That's not all of you. That's them.
Well, so I think the operative in that is you and them, and so who's having that conversation, right? Who's driving that narrative, right? Because I think that there are systems, I know that there are systems in place to create those kinds of divisions or to make us think of field slave versus house slave, right? It's the whole divide and conquer thing, right?
Sure.
So if I'm worried about what you eating and how well you're doing versus what I'm doing, that focus on you is taking away from both of our focus of actually who's holding all the resources that are rightfully ours anyway.
Right. Yeah, it is a divide and conquer. Okay. Well, this is Mr. Kelly, Dr. Ross.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, and we'll check you on the next one.
Right on, man. Y'all be safe.